In the past year, we've sent over 3 million cold emails to different industries, testing out hundreds of different new ideas, strategies, and tactics along the way, and running a couple businesses myself and a rather large school community to around 600 members that teaches cold email. I've seen just how many bad cold email copies exist out in the market. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing everything that you need to know to write better cold email copies that not only get open, but they capture attention and book meetings so you can start selling more deals and scaling your business. The purpose of this video and guide in general is to get you from essentially step 1 to about step 7 or 8 along the way. I have other videos that point to and direct you to that'll close the gap from 8 to 10, but really the ideal strategy here is to get you the foundational understandings that will make you a strong performer in the market, and then some of my other content will help close the gaps to make you a real killer. So if you're new to cold email or are having a cold email campaign that is struggling, you're going to find a lot of good research and insight into this, as it's been incredibly helpful to me along the way in a foundational element of our school community that we're providing to our clients and members. And so when it comes to cold email, a foundational process that you need to understand is A/B testing. Now, A/B testing is essentially helping you figure out what sort of variant or messaging is working the best with a certain audience so you can scale into that correctly. And so what that essentially looks like is, let's say you have a population of 1,000 people. Message 1 would go to 500 of those people, and then message 2 would go to 500 of those people. And then from there, we can see what messages resonate the best and then scale into that effectively. And so we're going to apply A/B testing to a few different dynamics, right? And so the first aspect of that is subject lines, right? What is getting the most open clicks on that email itself? We'll then want to experiment as well with the opening body, right? Is our opening sentence, is that personalized to the person that's receiving that email? Is it a pain point that we know is being faced by that client persona? Or is it just a generic statement? And I'll take you through a few examples on how to curate those later on in this video as well. Value propositions and offers, right? How are you framing your offer to that audience to see if it's resonating with them? And then lastly is the call to actions there. Is it a more passive, let me know? Is it a direct saying, hey, let's find some time to book? Or is it offering a value-driven activity like the sort of an audit or a competitive takedown strategy, or maybe a case study or something that they haven't seen before? And then lastly is something that we often don't see in the cold email market space, and maybe because it doesn't relate to cold email copywriting in general, but it's audience segmentation. And it's running a few different verticalized plays to different audiences to figure out who's really going to be your best ideal client persona so you can scale into that effectively. And so the goal with A/B testing is to figure out what part of this email copy is working together so we can piecemeal this all together and then just run it to the best audience that's resonating the best with our messaging, and so we can scale into that effectively so we can continue to grow our business. So before we get started into the anatomy of cold email copy, I just want to start off with some copywriting tips that'll be foundational for your ultimate success. The first one here is just sell the outcome. I've long debated and selling the mechanism versus the outcome itself. And so what do I mean by that? The mechanism is essentially what is the input that you're providing to get the output for the client here itself. So let's say you provide website creation services or landing page services. And so a lot of times when we've seen people come out to the market there themselves, it's like, hi Troy, I create high performing websites that do X, Y, and Z, right? And so it's like, it's all about them and not about me and what I'm going to get out of the service. And so how we reframe that offer is, instead of saying I provide pretty websites that increase on-site customer conversions by 20% within 90 days, right? And so it's, you switch that into selling the actual offer itself. And that's typically derived by some of the existing customer case studies you have, or something that you're really confident that you can deliver on, provided the right circumstances. We'll get into more and sell the outcome a little bit later on. It's foundational in being really successful in cold email. Of course, keep your messages short and sweet. When you started on cold email, you could send a lot longer emails, maybe even like 3 to 4 paragraphs. But at this point, we have Instagram and we have TikTok minds, and we need to keep our messages short and snappy and to the point. What are you trying to get across in as short amount of time as possible? Number 3 is personalize your approach. If you're trying to be everything to the market itself, you're going to be nothing to the market, right? And so you have to be personal around who you're reaching out to and speak to the pain points of those target personas if you're going to be successful in cold email, and just personalize your message to really engage and speak to that audience as well. Number 4, demand capture and demand generation. If you're new to this channel, that's not a new concept, but if you're new to this channel, this is definitely a new concept here to you. It is going to be a critical concept in how we're going to be able to position our offers to be successful in taking any solution or strategy to the market in general. So stick away around about like halfway, 60% of this video here itself. It'll be really helpful for you in saying like, oh, that's how I reposition this to capture more interest and get more interaction with our audience. And number 5 is avoid industry jargon, right? A lot of the times, like when you're working with government contractors, for example, there's a ton of different lingo that exists in their space and acronyms. You got to speak to that target persona like they've never heard those acronyms before, and just be really casual on your approach, which leads me into number 6 is utilizing clear language. I oftentimes, after I write my emails, I just read that out loud. And if I couldn't say that to someone in a crowded bar and get across this concept really easily to them, like they have no understanding of what I'm trying to present, then it's probably not going to work best. So just be really clear on what your offer is and what you're trying to bring to the table, and keep it at a really ninth grade reading level, which will lead me into number 7 there. It's just focus on clarity. Make sure it's just easy to read and comprehend. It's not like a big wall of text. It's just a couple of 2 to 3 short sentences that you're trying to get across. And when I started writing cold emails, that was a big challenge for me. And so I utilized a tool called Hemingway.app. I have no affiliation with this program, but essentially you can just fire your email in there. It'll give you a readability checker, and then you can cross-reference that against yourself and GPT to really simplify that language and make it easier to understand. And so if you can follow some of those tips along the way, that'll help close the gap on your copywriting skill set. So what does a killer cold email look like? And so just firing through this, right? You got the subject line that is going to want to capture their attention, engage their interest. I'm going to give you a ton of different examples and strategies for how you can create those. The opening sentence, right? That's the first thing that they're going to read there. And if it's not speaking to them, then they're going to bounce out of there and it's going to go right to spam or into the trash folder. Number 3 is the offer creation. What are you bringing to the table? Make it as clear as possible. And what is that going to mean to me by selling the outcome there? And then the call to action. What do you want? What do you want out of emailing me here? Make this as specific and actionable request as possible. Ideally, you want to get to that yes/no standpoint. If you want to do an open-ended question, that's great. If you're trying to drive some engagement there, maybe it's a larger sale that you need to provide some more convincing on there. And then lastly is that signature and sign off there. Keep it professional and friendly. If you can do all those things in a cold email and keep it around like 2 to 3 sentences, you're gonna be in a really good spot for a high performing campaign. Now, a lot of business owners have copywriting and subject lines, I think, just wrong. There's a ton of different ways that you can do it, and they have to be applied in certain scenarios if we want to be working here highly effectively. Crafting compelling subject lines is not a one-shot approach. It really varies across the ideal client personas that you want to engage with, and you want to speak to them highly effectively. And it's one of those things that we're going to A/B test as well. And so I've provided 4 ideas here that you can go through and sample out to see what's really going to resonate with your audience, and then you just scale into that effectively. And so all the ones that I provided here have gotten opens, have gotten clicks from some of our highest performing cold email campaigns. And so the first one there, just ask a question. I typically like to keep this casual. As you can see, it's all lowercase letters. Thought about this? Can I get your opinion on this? Quick question, right? You can even throw in that first name variable if you want to really speak to that target persona. I found that that's not even required all the time, but if you're speaking to more so that VP or C-suite level, you might want to include that first name personalization. Number 2 is offer solution there. Highlight a specific problem that you can solve, right? We see I'm fixing your LinkedIn, throwing an exclamation mark on the back end of that to really spark like, what are they doing to my LinkedIn profile? Or fixing a gap in your SEO. You're like, it sparks that curiosity to be like, wait, what's going on here? That's really compelling you guys to reach out. Casual approach. This will always work regardless. The test of time. I've been running these for years and they still get opens. First name / sender name - intro. That's great if you're a CEO that's reaching out to another CEO, or if you're a local vendor that's reaching out to other vendors within the area for a sort of coffee meetup. That's a great one that you can run with there. Company name / your company name. That sparks that curiosity of being like, what's our company collaborating on? I don't remember signing up for this sort of thing. Or company name and your company name, right? Just different little variables that you can throw in the middle there to craft that engagement to really get that email to be open. And then lastly is personalization. People love just seeing their names in the subject lines in general. That's why I mentioned including that and ask a question in that first part. Is first name made this for you, or ideal for you first name, or thought about LinkedIn first name, or thought about this first name, right? Going back to the first one there. Just including that little personalization there has been shown to be incredibly impressive in helping increase conversions. One of the things that I'd mentioned there is if you're looking to source from databases or other scraping techniques, just make sure that first name is in capital case, or excuse me, it has the first name in uppercase and then the rest of that in lowercase. Just utilize some data cleanliness there. If it's not clean data, then you're gonna have a bad time. You'll be pulling in things like Mr. or Mrs. or it'll be all capital names or include emojis. So just you can pay some time and attention to that data cleanliness issue there. All right, now this is the really fun part of cold email. If you made it this far in the video, then good, that you're gonna get the highest value out of this section and the one to follow. And so when it comes to writing cold email, one of the foundational elements here of success is how do you personalize that email to speak to that target persona that you're looking to engage with. And so initially when you start out in a SDR journey, it's writing one-to-one emails, but as you start to this at a larger scale, right, you need to say like, how am I going to go out and break the market to engage thousands of different target personas at scale on a consistent basis? And so here are 4 different ways that we're personalizing our emails right now to be incredibly successful. That first one is AI personalized pain point or a compliment. And so I'm going to link this Gamma document down in the description of this video here below, but all that to say, what we're essentially looking to do is task AI to go and research a company website, LinkedIn, or newsroom and provide a compliment or a pain point that we know is being faced by that target persona, just based on the information that we're essentially providing. And I've linked into that guide right there a larger AI document that'll literally have the exact same copy and paste scripts that you can run within Clay, or if you're utilizing Google Sheets, and just you can task the GPT to go and do those directly. Just literally copy and paste that over. I also include in that guide Clay templates that you can just import over your persona list, and then you just click play on those functions and it'll run directly. I have neither connection to those platforms. I have a connection to that guide. I created it. It's free. You can have it and enjoy it. Number 2 is mention a shared connection. This is one of the initial campaigns that we'll run for a client anytime they come on board. Is, did you have the chance to attend a recent industry event? And in that case, what we'll often just call out is we'll get that email script to be like, hey, notice we both had the chance to attend XYZ Summit. Sorry we missed the chance to get connecting. And then you just go directly into your offer or pitch, like you'd say to them as if they were walking by or like asking what you do. And then you just get right into it. That's typically one of the highest performing campaigns that we can do. So anytime you go to an industry event, highly recommend you get that marketing list and start engaging with that target persona. Number 3 is reference a recent news article, right? The better you can be in being relevant to the world, the more your cold email is going to stand out. And so why I mentioned a recent news article there, that can even span into what's going on within their business. Are they hiring for any specific roles? Are they paying for promoted sponsorship on things like Clutch, right? These are all different things that you can uniquely pull out to speak to exactly how you're going to be able to help here. And number 4 there is a known industry pain point. This is more so like blanketed terms. I know that when working with other XYZ populations, we've heard that X, Y, and K has been a recurring problem. Or like if you're like some of the other CTOs we work with, you might find that Y and Z are a constant headache. If so, right? And so you just kind of provide larger blanketed terms of we've heard from, or if you're like some of other people have told us that, right? And so it's larger terms that gives somebody when they're reading that to read it and go, yep, that's me. It's that qualifier message of that you're providing within your cold email to be like, okay, yeah, that actually relates to me. What are these guys, sharing a little bit more on, or how do they think they can help here? So AI is the new hot thing in cold email, and I tend to agree here, but you have to use but don't abuse AI, and that's one of the key things. Don't have AI writing your whole email. Just have it bringing out certain specific parts of it so you can write high performing copy. Now, here are 6 different ways that we're utilizing it right now so you can stand out to the market here itself. One of the best things that we're running for one of our content writing agency right now is calling out the specific competitors that existed within the same vertical there. We're also utilizing that on an SEO and backlinking side of things there. Essentially, you're tasking GPT to go do research on the company and then identify a few of those competitors. Once again, that entire script and playbook and process is in that AI documentation that I referenced earlier. Number 2 is mapping the relevant case studies. This is one of the tools that we utilize within Clay, but essentially it helps just map out like what customer case study of ours is going to assimilate the best with the client that we're looking to reach out to, and then just connect those 2 dots there and formulate that in a nice succinct sentence. Number 3 is call out the industry that they operate in. That's nothing too crazy there. Just demonstrate that you know exactly the vertical that you're looking to address here. Call out specific items on their website, whether that be the recent promotions that they're running with, services that they offer, or products to show just detailed customer research essentially on them. Especially if you're doing anything on e-com, if you can script their website and call out a product, it's usually shown to be really highly effective because it shows that you spent a little bit of time at least crafting the AI bot to do so, or that you actually checked out their website hands-on. Number 5 is creating a tailored offer. And so this has been a strategy that's taken a lot of time to curate, and I've created that playbook within that document I referenced as well. But essentially what you'll do is you'll have the GPT go and research the overall company itself, how it's operating, what's going on with the business right now, and then you create a tailored offer based on what you provide to address those pain points being faced by that client persona. It's been really helpful just being more personalized on our approach to discuss exactly how we help with what's going on with that business right now. And number 6 is figure out the ideal client that they service. So if you're trying to position marketing or lead generation or sales services, call out how you can help them attract more of that ideal client persona that they really love to engage with. Now, the next foundational aspect of writing cold email copy is going to be in the offer creation. And I mentioned demand capture versus demand generation earlier on in this video. And essentially what I mean here is you have a service that you want to take to the market. It can be anything. It could be a house cleaning services. It could be roofing for commercial enterprises. It could be lead generation. It could be content creation. It could be anything. But oftentimes it's going to fall into one of these two buckets. Either your prospects are problem aware and they already are taking action on it, right? We know that taxes are due here in March or April, whenever they're due. And so they go out and they seek an accountant and they take action on it. Or they know they need a new website, and so they go onto Fiverr or they ask a friend and they go through, figure out like what is the exact website that we're looking for. Now, oftentimes, if your prospects are problem aware, they're just going to take action on that themselves. But let's say that you're providing one of those services. So how do you gain their interest and their desire to want to engage with you if they're not in an active buying cycle, right? How do we eliminate luck out of this scenario here? And essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pitch audits or reviews or competitive takedowns. And so what that might sound like is, let's say if you're doing SEO and you're going to want to take that to the marketer itself, what you position there instead of saying like, hey, we provide SEO services that do X, Y, and Z. It's, if you're willing to send along your top 3 competitors, I'll create a competitive takedown strategy to review over a call. That's an exact system and play and script that we actually ran for Diamond Links that helped generate north of $1 million in revenue. Or let's say you're a website creation service. Instead of saying we create high performing websites that increase on-site customer conversions by 20%, what that could sound like is a more casual email is, I've noticed a few gaps on your website right now that might be leaving revenue on the table. Mind if I send over a quick video on how we'd fix those? And so that's how you're able to tailor this a little bit more effectively, right? To connect with those personas and being like, oh, there's an issue. I wasn't aware of this, or, oh, this sounds interesting and it sounds like a free value add to me that I can learn something. And then you position them more effectively so they can learn more about your solution. And then you upsell on like, here's how big this problem is. Here's like the things that you could do to fix it, or you could just pay me and I'll fix it there for you. And so you just want to paint a huge picture there, and then you step in and just be the hero that they've always been looking for. Secondarily to this is demand generation. So essentially, you make your prospects problem aware and shift them to take action by providing one of those things that helps them save time, money, or make more money or raise their status. And that's so that can sound like is lead generation, product sourcing, or content creation. All of those things will help people save more money. And at that point, I got to reference the great Alex Ramosi here. He's got an awesome offer framework. It's we help, niche, do benefit by unique mechanism in time frame or reversal. This can sound like a few different ways. It's we partner with, we help with, we enable. And so it's all sorts of different ways that you can frame this to make this more engaging. You can even make this a question. It's, if that sounds familiar, we help XYZ. Does that sound interesting? Right. And so you can see how you can spin this a ton of different ways to be really creative in your copywriting approach to speak to those different audiences. The big thing here though is how do you segment your offer here correctly to either say like my prospects are not problem aware and I need to shift them into action, or my prospects are already problem aware and I need to shift them into action here, or I need to capture them to force them along the funnel a little bit more. So now we know how we're going to personalize our email in the offer that we're going to take to the market. Is that going to be an audit, competitive takedown strategy? Is that going to be an offer? Is that offer going to be a statement itself? Is it going to be a question to see if there's capture interest there? And so, right, what is our ask at the end of the day? Like, what are we foundationally looking to bring to the table, and what do we really just want out of this prospect? And so based on experience, that's just like 3 different call to actions here. The first one is a value-driven call to action. And so essentially it's like you're providing that client or that prospect you're looking to engage with something that has innate value to them that is low value to you. And so that looks like it's something that's a repeatable asset. So mind if I send more info on this? Open to me sharing a customer case study, or those reviews and audits that we talked about earlier, right? Those are something that'll provide value to them that won't take up too much time or resources on your end, that are repeatable and that you can share out to capture their interest and essentially leverage the rule of reciprocity of saying like, hey, I gave this to you, you got to give something back to me. It's like waiters putting mints on your check. It's shown to increase their tabs by like 20 to 30%. Secondarily is a direct ask CTA, right? What are you specifically asking for? And oftentimes that's looking for either a time to meet there, or you're available at X time to discuss Y and how we can Z, or is asking for the best point of contact to speak with there. Are you the right person to speak with about X? And then lastly is the experimental CTAs. it just depends, right, on when you want to apply these. But like, these are out of the box things that we like to just test out. Is what we seeing at the annual Christmas seminar, or am I even barking up the right tree here, just to get some sort of engagement and stick out in the inbox. It doesn't have a play every single time, but in often cases, what you'll want to do from a campaign flow perspective is have a value-based call to action in that first email, a direct ask CTA in that second email, and then lastly is that experimental CTA at the last end, or am I even barking up the right tree here? Who's the right person to speak to about X? Now, as it relates to campaign flow, what this is essentially looking like right now within BuzzLeader for our clients is we break this out into 2 separate campaigns. Now, campaign 1 has 2 emails. That first email is sent on the first day, obviously. And then that second email, we're going to wait around 2 to 3 days, and then we're going to send them. If no response, then we're going to wait for around 2 weeks or some change. And then we're going to drop them into a second campaign. And that second campaign is going to have 3 emails. It's going to have the first email, you're going to wait 2 to 3 days. Then you're going to send that second email, and you're going to wait 3 to 4 days. And then you're going to send a nuke of being like, hey, I haven't heard from you, so I'm assuming now isn't the best time to speak. Is there somebody else I should speak with on your team about X, right? That's when we're doing those experimental CTAs. Or I haven't heard from you, so I'm assuming evaluating XYZ is no longer of interest. Is that right? Either way, let me know. Just different experimental CTAs to get that engagement and at least close the loop on them. And if you don't get a response from these personas, wait around 2 months, 3 months, and then just drop them back in a different campaign with new messaging, new pain points, and new strategies, all from what you've learned from A/B testing your initial campaigns to see what messaging is working out the best, and then we'll just scale into that effectively as the months go on. Now, let's bring this all together and bring in some templates here to make this really effective for you guys. One of the best templates of all time, and it will always be a high-performing cold email template, is just why you now. And so what that essentially looks like is you include some level of personalization there, whether that be a pain point that's being faced, or you're utilizing the AI compliment, or a recent news article. Speak directly to that target persona. And then you're going to bring in your offer and exactly why you're reaching out there and if you think you can help. And then lastly is that CTA. Oftentimes, this is the first email, we can make this value driven. Other times, if we want it to be a direct ask, like it's a pitch, we'll just have a direct ask there and then include that case study at the end just to show that you can walk the walk and talk the talk with your offer there. So what that sounds like within an example here is, hey Troy, came across your work with Forever Fierce, impressive work. If we could help you find 10 to 20 more clients like them with their outbound prospecting efforts, would that be interesting? Let me know. And then you just have a clean professional signature, and then you have a case study there around like how exactly you delivered on that offer. You can flip this so many of different ways here, right? You can keep that same first line personalization as we could help, and you just have the statement here itself, and then you can include that case study, and then instead of having a let me know sign off there, be like, can I send you over more info on how we accomplish that for the case study? And so you could literally spin this offer, that message there, 10 to 20 different ways alone. And so that's where I'll encourage you guys to go back earlier on in the video in that offer creation of saying, all right, you should make that a question of if we could help. You make that a statement of we've heard from others, or we're helping others, or we enable, or we partner with, or we establish, go into future stating, we establish lead generation businesses as the premier option in the market by enabling them to attract 10 to 20 more clients with their outbound prospecting efforts. And then you have a case study there, and then a let me know, right? And so all sorts of different ways that you can frame this to be really successful. So that's why you now. I encourage you to always include that. Secondarily here is observation. Observation can come in a few different formats, but essentially what that does is it's hi, first name, you include that personalization again. The offer, you have a case study or proof that you can actually do what you said. Essentially from that different email, we're just moving this up from the PS section up into the body of the email, and then CTA, and then a signature. So to give you some examples here, or some templates in general. Hi, first name, I noticed current problems that most of our clients have, even though why it's so critical. Decided to reach out because we've helped achieve X result for Y similar company. We're now helping a handful of similar companies like yours achieve that similar result. Can I send you more information on how we do it? And so my goal here with this template here is just give you guys the plug and play terminology that you can be really successful with. And then example 2, it's one of the best ones that we always run for clients and across their industry and vertical. It's one of the best templates. So I notice current problem, current business function, and what they do. If we could help you solve common pain point, would that be interesting? We just helped X do Y and Z without T, or excuse me, without N. But you can change this first one. I notice current business function to a pain point being faced by that client persona. So working with other business operators, we've heard that managing their kind of workflows can be a headache. If we could help you solve that workflow to operationalize your cash flow or increase your cash flow by 20%, would that be interesting? Or working with other creators, we've heard that posting content consistently can be be a bottleneck. If we could help you post content consistently by being your LinkedIn ghostwriter to increase your amount of monthly lead flow by 60 to 90%, would that be interesting? Let me know. Right, so there's a ton of different ways that you can spend that there, but the goal with these 2 templates here is just to give you guys the meat and potatoes and some templates as well to be really successful. All that to say, if you're going to be successful with cold email copywriting, you have to break out of these templates or workflows and start throwing in some of that other terminology that I mentioned of how you can reshape that personalization or your offer presentation to be really, really successful. So those are just a few of the steps along the way that we've helped to create to make you successful when writing cold emails. And at this point, there's really a few key things that I want you to drive home. Is the one, to use A/B testing to optimize your cold emails, because you want to get to a point where we're saying, okay, this is the best performing message to the best audience, and now we just have to put a certain amount of leads in the top of the funnel to get the ideal output in the form of the leads that we want, right? Essentially make it a marketing go-to-market motion. Secondarily there is keep your messaging concise and personalized. Speaks directly to the person that you want to, but keep it really short and brevity as to why you're reaching out. Keep it really casual, like you're speaking to them in a crowded bar and at a 9th grade reading level at best. Always focus on the benefits for that recipient, never on the actual input itself, unless that's going to be in a second email where we'll go through a little bit more in depth as around like how exactly we achieve those results. And I mentioned this earlier on, use but don't abuse AI. It shouldn't be your crutch. It should be more so an enabler, helping out on company research or some of that personalization elements that we mentioned earlier on. And then just continue to refine your approach based on data and feedback. If it's not working from the market, if you're sending out 1,000 emails alone and you haven't got a positive reply, or sending 2,000 emails out alone and you haven't got a positive reply, there's something wrong with your marketing, messaging, and strategy. Either the population isn't resonating with it or the messaging itself isn't resonating. And so you need to take that back in-house and do some feedback and some corrections there. And so now at this point, you have 2 different actions to be really successful. One is you can join our school community. It's $19 a month. We have weekly coaching calls, and we'll teach you weekly how to write cold email copies, and there's stored videos there from some of the best performing cold email campaigns as well. I also have a swipe file of all the emails that I've sent that have booked meetings. So that alone right there will give you all the templates that you need to be successful with writing cold email copy. Secondarily is you could just have us do this entire thing for you, so you don't have to worry about the headache that is cold email, right? Managing deliverability, pulling data, having the right systems in place, writing cold email copies, handling objections, booking meetings, right? You just have that us do that entirely for you. We'll book anywhere in the range of 10 to 20 meetings. We have some clients that book even more, but on a monthly basis, we start around $3,000 to $5,000, and you can book a call directly on this Gamma document here. Or you can just have us run your entire cold email outreach yourself to book 10 to 20 meetings a month for $3,000 to $5,000, so you don't have to deal with having to write cold email copy, pull data, write the system or build the systems, write scripts, send emails, handle objections, book meetings, right? We'll just do that all entirely for you. $3,000 to $5,000 a month. You're getting anywhere from 10 to 20 meetings. So at this point, there's a couple different actions that you should take there. But if you want to learn to write better performing cold email copy, I have a full hour-long explanation and guide that you can check out here. It's going to make you more money.